Hi, I'm Stan Keller, Chairman of the Chelmsford Jewish Community. In talking about the Jews of Chelmsford, it's important to understand that all Jews were expelled from England in 1290 and not allowed back until 1656. So there's a huge gap in the history of the Jewish people, not just in Essex, but the country as a whole. On the 15th of September 1897, a special train steamed out of Fenchurch Street Station with 500 East End men, women and children bound for South Benfleet. The Jews as agriculturalists, a colony of Israelites in Essex, ran the headline in the Essex Chronicle. This isn't the first reference to Jews and farmland, but I'll come to that a bit later. However, we can find earlier knowledge about Jews in Essex by delving through court records. A century before the railway age, there was resettlement of Jews in Essex. The respected philanthropist Moses Hart, 1675 to 1756, founder of the Great Synagogue in Duke's Place, East London, received a summons to attend the Court of Chancery, charged with having concealed from the creditors of his nephew Isaac Helbert the ownership of 1,000 acres of Essex farmland. Helbert had lost his money due to the South Sea bubble and persuaded his uncle to become mortgagee. The estate remained in the family's possession for 90 years and for much of the 19th century was owned by Samuel Sampson, a tea broker, although he actually denied this when he was asked to pay a tax demand. Henry Simons, a peddler, was brutally attacked but was charged with perjury. He was acquitted after a second trial in Chelmsford. The case caused ill feeling towards the Jewish community, although this was due to the widespread prejudice against all Jews at the time. Chelmsford didn't welcome its earliest Jewish inhabitants, who were in the main conspicuously poor, and may had arrived during the infamous Chelsea murder case of 1771. In 1776, a Chelmsford goldsmith issued a public caution against Jewish residents, accusing them of passing off cheap tableware and trinkets as genuine silver. But there's always been a link between poverty and crime. From early days, Jews were allowed to be moneylenders, one of the few jobs, in fact, that they were permitted to undertake. Wolf Myers started business in Chelmsford with his brother Lewis as a pawnbroker in 1823. 10 years later, he had premises next to the Stone Bridge and eventually absorbed several neighbouring properties. They expanded into menswear and also sold carpets, fabrics and furniture. Wolf was very popular with other tradespeople and was chosen to steward various social events. When Wolf died in 1843, his son Walter took over the business and enhanced the goodwill and reputation of the firm. His main competitor was another Jewish businessman, Moses, son of Israel Moses, who appears to have started his business in Malden in 1826. Other successful Jews in the 19th century Chelmsford include the auctioneer Jacob Cohen, 1823 to 1846, in Conduit Street in Springfield, which was then a suburb. H.L. Sampson, a silversmith, opened a shop in the High Street in 1840, which stocked German wools, silks and furniture, and perhaps because of the competition from Myers, it only lasted 15 months. The medical profession had a number of Jewish practitioners locally, including dentists, opticians and chiropodists, which is still common this day. There were also more unusual occupations such as fancy goods dealers and performing artistes, who were more of an itinerant nature and livened up the local community. And Mr. L.A. Van Amberg was the manager of the animal circus at Belmead. In 1894, there's a record of marriages producing the special flour needed by Jewish people for Passover baking. Around the same period, we learn about Godfrey Charles Isaacs, born in London but educated at the Leibniz University and the Free University of Brussels. He originally worked for his father, a successful fruit importer in Spitalfields. In 1909, he met Guglielmo Marconi, founder of the Marconi Wireless Telegraph Company Limited, and Isaacs was appointed joint managing director in 1910 and then sole managing director a little while afterwards. At that time, they had more than twice as many radio installations as Telefunken, their nearest competitor. Godfrey Isaacs was a workaholic, a real pioneer, an enterprising innovator with a vision for Chelmsford as a manufacturing city, and his production strategies helped Marconi outgrow his rivals. He brought prosperity and employment to the town, and in November 2021, he was recognised by the City of Chelmsford with a blue plaque on the Powerhouse building in Marconi Road. He was the first Jewish individual to have a blue plaque in Essex. In 1922, Isaacs came up with the idea of a public service broadcaster funded by a licence fee, and in 1923 he was elected as the first director. And although Lord Reith generally gets the credit for it, in fact Isaacs is known as the father of the BBC. It's not clear why there were no permanent routes put down by these prominent business people, and there's no record of any synagogue ever having existed in Chelmsford. The most populated Jewish city in Essex is Southend, where there are still 3 synagogues. But saying that, in 1970, when I moved to Chelmsford, in Springfield Road, there was a car dealership in which I noticed a staircase, a wooden staircase, and there was a Star of David cut into the staircase. I can't find any record of why or how it came to be, and unfortunately the building has long since been demolished. The present Chelmsford Jewish Community was established in 1974, and indeed I was the youngest founder member. We're still fairly active and prominent locally, especially putting on things like Holocaust Memorial Day for Chelmsford City Council every year. Unfortunately, it's an ageing community now, and whilst for the time being it's still vibrant, with around 60 families in and around Chelmsford, there's a danger that it may disappear like its predecessors of the 19th century.